Well, we've made it to October. Want to bring you the latest data here in the Austin metro area. Well, as you all know, we are now in a government shutdown. Will that shutdown have an impact on residential real estate? Well, it might depend on what you're trying to do in that transaction. So, here's just some of the agencies that are going to have some impacts in real estate: the EPA, HUD programs, government sponsored groups, the IRS, the flood insurance program. So, I wanted to bring you a little bit of a deeper dive on that and talk about a few of those programs that could impact buyers and sellers here in Austin. One of them is the National Flood Insurance Program. So, if you are buying a property or selling a property that touches any portion of a 100-year floodplain, well, a mortgage lender is going to require that you have a flood insurance policy. And who issues those policies is the NFIP, the Flood Insurance Program. So, this is just one of many agencies that could be delayed or slowed down in getting those policies passed. So it's important to watch that. Again, if you are in a FEMA flood zone, that could impact you. If you're getting an FHA, VA, USDA loan, any of the rural housing loans, the VA and the FHA are continuing operations, so they are still moving forward as long as it's a pretty typical purchase, maybe like a single family home that may not have many issues. But if you're buying a condo, that usually requires a deeper condo certification or anything else like that, USDA, the rural loans, there's going to be some delays and there could be some staffing furloughs. So, again, maybe some of the loan programs that go through the government could be delayed. Hey, if you delayed your taxes or extended your taxes and you just now filed and you're waiting for the IRS to provide confirmation to your mortgage lender so that you can get a loan this year, well, the IRS has furloughed a lot of employees. And so, again, if you're still waiting to get information or confirmation from the IRS for tax returns, that is also delayed. Obviously, the GSEs, these are Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They're not really fully government entities, but they could have some issues with furloughs. You got Social Security. We don't have to deal really with any of the Indian land transactions, but those areas are going to have issues. Rental assistance, Section 8, housing programs. If you're a landlord and you rent to Section 8, they could have delays there. And of course, the economic data that typically drives the bond market and the mortgage market, a lot of the data is not coming out. And so the good news is that actually might keep rates kind of steady. But just know there's going to be delays there too. So, yes, I think for most part, residential real estate should move. But if you are doing specific things that have a government entity connected to your transaction, just know there could be some delays there. All right, let's talk about the Austin metro market. We call this a balanced market, although I'd say everybody's going to say it's leaning to a buyer's market, especially with days on market. If you look at active listings, we have 17,000 active listings. We've only got about 2,500 selling a month. So you just have a much higher percentage of sellers to buyers. And again, typical property is taking somewhere in the 4 to 5 month range to sell in the metro. Supply and demand, again, the blue line is this year, the dotted blue line is last year. And of course, all those gray bars is the 10-year average. We're just way above. If I look at September, let me move myself over here. If I look at September last month, we had about 13,600 single family homes for sale. If I go back 2 years ago, it was only 10,700, so like 3,000 fewer homes. Well, we're not even selling 3,000 homes a month. So we have, a lot more than we had in years past. If we go back to the pandemic, it was like 4,500 homes. So, we're clearly way above that. But even if I go back to 2016, we're way above that number. That was 10,600. We're now at 13,600. So just more homes for sale, higher supply. If I look on the demand side, it's not quite as bad. The 10-year average, we're obviously below that. We're equal in line with last year on demand. Again, if I go to September, and let me move myself again, we sold about, let's call it 2,500 homes last month. The last year, we sold within 15 homes. So the level is about the same amount of sales. Uh, the years before that, 2022 and 2023, we only had 2,100 sale. I mean, it was lower. So we're actually seeing, I don't want to say sales pick up, but we're seeing sales stabilize. And we're neck and neck with the numbers that we saw in 2016, 2018 in there. So not as many sales as we saw during those crazy pandemic years, but not bad, kind of average sales year. We just have a lot more inventory. This is where we stand right now on active versus sold listings. And obviously, the bell curve every year as we peak out on listings at the end of the spring, start to drop during the summer and late summer. And we're going to continue to see listings, the numbers go down through, let's say, January. And here's December last year. We bottomed out at about 10,400. And then we started climbing again once we got to January, and it rockets up through the spring. So we'll see that. We're in October now, October, November, December, January. We're looking at about 3.5, 4 months where we're going to see these numbers drop. But we got to pay attention to the sales numbers too. That's the blue line. So again, peaked out in May. That was the only month this year where we got over 3,000 sales in a month. By June, it dropped back. Well, 3,000. We just hit it. So June, we got 3,000 as well. After that, 27, 26. Now we're at 25. So we're just seeing the number of buyers, those contracts going down as well. So what's going to tighten up this market? Yes, we're going to have some sales. Yes, we're also going to have fewer listings coming to market. And yes, we're going to have a lot more withdrawn and expireds. You're just going to have people that get exhausted. They don't want to keep going. They're going to take their house off the market, hold it for the winter, bring it back to market in the spring. It happens every year. We're going to start to see that happen in this fourth quarter as well. What's that going to do to our historical sales price trend? So here's what Austin looks like the last 5 years. And of course, that those first 2 years is all the pandemic. That's 2020, 2021, and 2022. Peaked out in 22, but we fell pretty quick. It's not like it kind of bell curved off the top. Nope, it went up, boom, came right back down. And every year has had a lower low and a lower high. So we peaked out, let's say in 23 around 458 median home price, peaked out in 2024 around 453, peaked out this year around 440. Not terrible, about 15,000 difference, but each year we've seen the median home values coming down, and we've seen the lows coming down too. 440 in 2023. It's probably lower than that. 419 in 2024. 2025 started the year around 420. So again, we're going to see the real question is what's going to happen the next 3 or 4 months. Are we going to get a lower low, or are we actually going to stabilize and maybe stay in line with last year, or even finish the year above that? So that's what I'm watching. That's going to tell me if the market has started to finally stabilize, or are we still in kind of a downswing? Rates may play a bit of that, but we need to see a little more buyer activity as well. Finally, interest rates have been really steady since the Fed announcement. And again, the Fed is not driving mortgage rates. The bond market drives mortgage rates. But we've been about this 6.3 range for a couple weeks. And so that's not bad. That's helping buyers. We like stability in the mortgage market. If I come down here and look at the fixed rate mortgages, here was right before the Fed announcement. They announced rates went up a little bit because the bond market. But if you look at that, we're basically within 2 or 3 basis points this whole time. So 6.3, if you've got good credit, you're probably in the mid to low sixes. If you're an investor, you're probably high sixes to low sevens. I would look at DSCR loans. If you're an investor, you might be able to get a little better rate on that. If you are a buyer right now, man, this is working in your favor. You've got at least the next 3 months, maybe 4, where you're going to have an opportunity to have lots of supply, lowering mortgage rates, and I don't expect we're going to see any swell in buyer demand hit the market in the next 3 months. Rates didn't collapse. We're not down in the 5s. So I don't expect we're going to see this wave of buyers. We have no idea what's going to happen next year. But I think everybody's still in that wait and see mode. So I think as a buyer, you've got a great window to hopefully be getting Austin where it's starting to bottom. If you're a seller right now, the game continues where your challenge is to stand out amongst all the competition that you're still facing knowing that there just aren't that many buyers in the market, especially in the fourth quarter of the year. So, whatever we can do to help those properties stand out, that is your best weapon. Anyways, hope this was helpful. If you are planning to buy, sell, invest, or finance here in Austin, of course, give us a ring. And we'd love for you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Just go to @RyanKellyGroup and click that subscribe button. Anyways, we're going to have amazing weather this week. It's ACL Fest here in Austin. Lots of travelers visiting the city. Hope they enjoy it. We should have sunny skies every day. And I'll bring you another video next Monday. Thanks.